Hello. Hi guys, how are we all doing? Saturday morning. I think this is my first ever live stream in the morning. Um, so we'll just see how this goes. Chat seems to be working now as well, which makes a change for once. Hi Drac. Hello everyone watching or anyone in the chat. Yeah. So to be completely honest, I don't know what I'm doing. I spent a lot of last night actually thinking about the moves or move I was going to make. I assumed that Palmer wasn't going to drop. I think that's obviously like the big news, isn't it? The big news is that Palmer dropped in price last night when he wasn't supposed to. I think there was a couple of sites saying that he might. There was a couple saying that he was unlikely to drop. So bit of an issue. It's not the end of the world, obviously, because it's only 0.1. But I mean, when you take into account that I lost 0.1 on Watkins, who I don't know. I don't know what happened with Watkins. I didn't know that he was going to drop last night. You also have to take into account I've got Wan-Bissaka, unfortunately, so he also dropped to 4.4. And then with Palmer, that's kind of 3 drops in one night. So it was quite a big hit. I took quite a big hit last night. If you are watching and in the chat, just drop a message in. Again, I don't expect it to be super busy because a lot of people will be watching, the likes of Ross and Harry and stuff like that. But I'm going to try and Palmer and Watkins got you too. Yeah. Well, I mean, I had Wan-Bissaka as well, which wasn't ideal. I don't think I'm going to keep him long term. It's just annoying. It's just annoying to get free price drops. Just really annoying. If you've got any questions, please get them in. I will answer them. What's going on with this mic? Yeah, an hour and a half today. I usually go for 2 hours, 2 hour stream. But I cut it a little bit short this week before going into the international break. I also wanted a bit more time this morning to kind of go over some of the decisions I've got to make. Obviously, Palmer is Palmer's the main one, isn't he? I think we saw that he won't be available. Oh, did Rand drop as well? That's not ideal. He's been cleared to play this week, hasn't he? Ryan Nori. Been cleared to play. Yeah, I think he has. Pretty sure he has. Yeah, so there's been a lot of price changes. There's been a lot of random price changes, actually, since the start of the season. I think Saka got a few people last week as well, didn't he? I don't think he was supposed to drop, but he ended up dropping. Something like that, anyway. I think it was Saka. But yeah, I was up pretty late waiting for Palmer last night, and there was no sign that he. In fact, I think at one point he was a maybe to drop, and then he went over to unlikely, and as soon as he went over to unlikely, I thought I might as well go to bed. Yeah, I will have a look at a free hit at some point. I think I prefer Sal's though, Ali, because he's got the home fixture, hasn't he? I'm pretty sure Everton away this week. Pretty sure Everton are away this week, aren't they? Which would put me off slightly. Yeah, I think outside of West Ham's, obviously West Ham failed to score against Sunderland, didn't they? And then I think obviously they scored against Chelsea, but it took a long range shot to do that. So I would back Sals on a free hit this week. Again, any questions, just get them in. Yeah. I mean, this morning's pretty much filled with quite a lot of stuff. We'll have a look at my plans. We'll have a look at my free hit draft. We'll have a look at my wildcard draft. Although it is quite tricky to nail down a fairly decent wildcard draft at this point. Also have a look at FPL Challenge. I know people pop in and out, and ask about FPL Challenge, so we can take a look at that as well. I think I did pretty well last week actually on that, but yeah, we'll cover that. We'll cover that shortly. Just talking through my potential plans today, and getting your questions in until we get through the drafts that I mentioned. So wildcard and free hit draft. So this is my current team at the moment. You can see it on screen there. Sanchez, Sanchez is fine against Fulham. He's also good long term, I'd say. Dubravka, you know, it is what it is, isn't it? You just leave him there. Konza, we do need to see Aston Villa to start improving soon. It's also not ideal that they lost. I think Onana, probably ideal for those going for Crystal Palace attackers. Morgan, Gibbs White, or Alanga on a free hit. I think it depends who you. Well, firstly, obviously, I think Nottingham Forest and Newcastle are going to score goals this week, so that is why it's a tough one for you. I do prefer Alanga against Leeds. I think because it's a newly promoted side. I know West Ham have been bad, but I think you can cover Nottingham Forest with Chris Wood, right? I think I'd probably have Chris Wood, and then that's it from the Nottingham Forest attack, and then maybe Alanga. Or interesting, you said Alanga, suggested Alanga, because I've actually got a Newcastle player on my free hit. It's Harvey Barnes at the moment. In my latest draft that I made, it's Harvey Barnes. So yeah, I think I would probably go for Alanga if you've got Chris Wood, probably. Yeah, in terms of my own draft, I'm pretty happy with my back line this week. Again, we just mentioned the fact that Aston Villa do have Crystal Palace. They are at home, which I think gives them some advantage. And Aston Villa aren't bad, right? You know, they've had a couple of poor games, but great manager, great team, a lot of quality. So, yeah, I think Wood's enough this week. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people will go for him, but I don't think everyone's going to own him. So I definitely think he's enough. He's also a good captaincy option. I think if you haven't got heart with saying that, if you're free hitting, you're probably going to have Haaland captain, right? I'd probably have Haaland captain if I was free hitting this week, or potentially a Manchester United attacker, although I'm less convinced than a lot of people. I do think United will score goals. It's just a case of, you know, who's going to be involved in them. That's the issue, isn't it? It's trying to pick a standout between Cunha, Bumo, and Bruno Fernandes. It's quite tough. And the United attackers I'll discuss in more details soon. But backline looks good. Murillo, Nottingham Forest haven't been keeping clean sheets, but I do think they're going to keep a clean sheet this week. Pedro Porro, you know, you're not going to bench him, are you, against Bournemouth at home? Tottenham have been great defensively. Wan-Bissaka is obviously a big issue of mine because outside of Esteve, who I don't really want to play that much. In fact, I'd probably rather play Esteve than Wan-Bissaka on a regular, you know, like long term, because West Ham just look horrendous, don't they? But yeah, Wan-Bissaka maybe eventually gets changed. I will have to kind of look to replace him long term if West Ham don't sort themselves out at some point. I think a lot of teams haven't really impressed, have they? That much. I mean, you look at Aston Villa. Yeah, there's been some teams that have been impressed, but I think Villa obviously underperformed massively. Maybe not massively. The Newcastle game was always tough, but in there. But yeah, I think they're going to come good. I think the Villa fixtures are really good, aren't they? We looked at the fixtures on stream last week. Those of you were here, and they are right at the top of the fixture ticker. So I just think you stick with the Villa attackers. I know Watkins dropped last night. Was Watkins due to Wood is enough? Cunha captain? Yeah, I think Cunha's a good shout. I think the United options are probably decent shouts, aren't they? I mean, they're against Burnley, so you would think they'd score a couple of goals unless they have an absolute nightmare, which, you know, it's not completely out of the question. Hi, Alexis. Well done. I'm not too sure what the well done is. Missing the price rise of PALMER. Losing 0.3 in squad value, maybe sarcastic. Well done, I'm not too. But thank you for getting in the chat and ask any questions that you want. I will answer them. Yeah, so I'm adamant that I'm going to stick with the Aston Villa attackers because the fixtures are great. It's Unai Emery, and I just think Rodgers and Watkins have good chemistry. So, I mean, eventually they're going to probably be issues if they continue the way they are. But I just think at the moment, a lot of people have got other fires to put out, haven't they? You know, in terms of Palmer, potentially players to get in. In fact, Watkins could always be a maybe a sacrifice for someone like Haaland long term. I think a lot of people. Watkins was meant to drop tonight. Yeah, so tonight, yeah, so yeah. I mean that's fair enough. I was never going to sell Watkins. I don't think. I think a lot of people were. I think a lot of people were looking at Watkins to Haaland, weren't they, at some point? But I don't know if the Man City fixtures are that good short term. I know they are. I know they have obviously. I know they've got Burnley in 6. I think a lot of people are going to be looking to either free hit in game week 6 or we'll probably have to get Haaland in, and that's kind of one of the debates I'm kind of included. Yeah, I'm not massively keen on the Man City fixtures too much. I mean, yeah, they could probably do well against Brighton, maybe even Man United. Arsenal way is not ideal. I think I'd probably wait for Haaland until game week 6. I think if you're not free hitting in game week 6, you probably need a plan to get Haaland in because do I think Fulham are going to score? No, I think Chelsea could keep a clean sheet this week. I think they're in the top 5 for clean sheet odds, Chelsea. There's not many teams expected to keep a clean sheet this week. But I think Chelsea are one of them, or like I said, top 5. So I'm quite happy playing Sanchez this week. I think in fact, I had a look at my free hit draft, which I'll show you soon. I think it's got a Chelsea defender in or one on the bench. So yeah, I do think Chelsea are capable of keeping a clean sheet today. We're good obviously in the Club World Cup, but yeah, I'd fancy Chelsea to keep a clean sheet. So quite happy with Sanchez long term. Yeah, so the rest of my team is obviously João Pedro and Mark Gahey. Now, João Pedro is obviously a player that a lot of people are looking at the moment. I would still be quite happy to keep. I mean, if you look at Chelsea's fixtures, they've got Fulham, Brentford, Man United away, which is not bad, Brighton at home, which isn't bad. Liverpool at home is not ideal, but they are conceding goals. And then they've got Forest away, which isn't great, but then Sunderland, Tottenham, Wolves, and Burnley. So Sunderland, Wolves, and Burnley, between game week 9 and obviously we've got plenty of time to plan for that. But maybe people hold João Pedro right the way through. Maybe they don't. Maybe people are kind of free hitting in 7 or 9. But João Pedro honestly has the potential to be a great asset long term. I'm not a season keeper just yet because we don't know how minutes are going to play out and stuff. But yeah, so in terms of transfers, there's a couple of players I'm looking at. I didn't put a team selection video out this week. I did make a transfers plans video, and there's a couple of players that I was looking at. One of them was Kudus, who I'm still keen on. Still keen on Kudus. I also like Saar. I didn't mention Saar in the video, but that was because I think my free hit plan has kind of changed. Or it's not cemented yet, but I am now looking at. Well, I wasn't not looking at it anyway, but I kind of preferred game week 7. Who to bench? Tosin, Saar, or Munoz? I'd probably bench Tosin. I think he offers not much in terms of attacking threat. I think Munoz and Saar, the way Villa have been playing, and they've obviously lost an honour. I do think that Crystal Palace have a chance of scoring. I mean, I say that, but I'm playing Konza. If you look at my defensive depth, it's not very good, is it? I mean, I can't really play Wan-Bissaka against Forest. I can't really play Esteve against Man United. I think I have to kind of play Konza. I don't really want to make a defensive transfer, especially when there's so many I mean, I've got some issues in attack, haven't I? I would argue that out of those 8 players, the only player that is convincing at the moment is João Pedro. You know, this week in particular, I mean, not in general, because in general, you know, you look at Salah, it's just because he's got Arsenal this week. Obviously, Wirtz against Arsenal isn't ideal either. Wirtz could play a part in my transfer strategy, actually, because not that I would sell him. I don't think I'm looking to sell him. I think I'm looking to. So I'm either going to make one transfer or two. I think one of the transfers could potentially be. Well, one of the transfers is very likely to be, or almost certainly going to be Palmer out. So Palmer is going at some point. I kind of wish I did it last night, but at the same time, I didn't really know who I was going to buy last night. I mean, I still have three midfielders that I really like. I've gone slightly off Semenyo, obviously, because he's risen in price again, and then he's much more than than the likes of Kudus and Sarr. But I think Kudus and Sarr are up there. Not having a United attacker feels like an issue this week, but only because of captaincy. I think I'm not convinced on Salah captaincy, although I'm happy to leave him with captaincy. Happy to take maybe a punt on Watkins, because I think you can have a punt with captaincy this week to a certain point. I don't think captain a defender or captain Reinders or someone, but someone who is decent basically. I know Watkins is off form, but I would consider him, if out of this team that I have here, I would consider him a decent captaincy option. Your tax has gone out of my box for some reason. I don't know FPL Hub. I don't know what that is. Maybe laughing at my team, probably. You're probably laughing at my bad team, which is fine. Yeah, so it's on the agenda to make some transfers. Yeah, I don't know which transfers I'm going to make, which, isn't ideal. Again, I think Bruno and Slash Cunha are still players that I could go to this week. The only issue with that is then I've got a captain this week. It's fine. Bringing a United attacker this week would give me a captain, but their fixtures aren't fantastic. Obviously, I know they've got Brentford and Sunderland down the line, but they've also got Man City and Chelsea in the next few. But I think the biggest issue with bringing in Bruno for me, Palmer, is that I wouldn't be able to upgrade Gahey to an 8th attacker. I think a lot of people are looking at 8 attackers now, aren't they? A lot of people are looking to upgrade to 8 attackers because, United have got tough fixture next, so maybe they're playing the 8th attacker, or, I think after this week, Chris Wood has got Arsenal in game week 4, so I think a lot of people are bringing him in this week, and then they can play their kind of other attacker next time. So there's a lot of options out there for me at the moment, as there it probably is for everyone. I think that's what the issue is, right? There's just too many options. I think if we just look at the fixtures, we head over to Fantasy Scout. You should be able to see these fixtures. Great fixture tick. I love what Scout have done this season. They've obviously they originally had the blues and the light blues and dark blues, didn't they? But really happy that they've gone with the kind of standard one that we're all used to. The green, grey, and the red. Looks really nice. Obviously, it's familiar as well. So hopefully that's visible to you guys. I mean, you can still see that going up to game week 8 there, that Aston Villa have still got the best fixtures, as mentioned. Brentford, Palace. I think the toughest game there for Aston Villa, toughest games, probably Tottenham and Crystal Palace. Outside of that, the rest are pretty winnable. I would even say that Crystal Palace is winnable for them this week. We don't know how sustainable Tottenham's current form is. It could be fantastic. It could last last under Frank, but we just don't know. Sunderland are second on the ticker there. I mean, if we look down at Chris Ward, this is what's interesting this week, because I think obviously it's a great fixture. I don't know why game week 2's there. Let me just change that. How does that look for you? Oh, it's more clear, that, isn't it? Yeah, so now Tottenham have jumped second. So we've taken away game week 2, and now Tottenham have jumped all the way up to second. And I think that's one of the reasons that I really like Kudus this week. Really, really, really like Kudus, because I think obviously yes, they've brought in Xavi Simons. I'm not too sure how much he is going to affect Kudus' minutes. I doubt that much. And Xavi Simons is more of he likes predominantly coming from the left onto his right. He also likes a number 10 role. So I don't really see Xavi Simons playing on the right. I think Kudus has done a great job as well. He's just a top player, isn't he, Kudus? Really, really is a top player. So he will get goal threat eventually as well. Yes, we've seen little from him in terms of goal threat, but I just think it will come soon. Tottenham 6 goals in the first 2 matches. Obviously scored 4 against Burnley, 2 against Man City, and those fixtures there for Tottenham: Bournemouth, West Ham, Brighton, Wolves, Leeds, Aston Villa. Aston Villa's not amazing in it. Well, it could be currently, but you'd imagine they'd pick up form. So I think my major decision is firstly captaincy. So yes, I could captain. Just go back to my team. Yes, I could captain Watkins here. I could captain Salah, but none of them scream, who are you guys captaining? I imagine it'll be Manchester United attackers, Haaland. I'd imagine it's those kind of players. Or Chris Wood. I think Chris Wood is someone that I've thought about as well, if I do bring him in as part of a two transfer strategy. So yeah, let me know in the chat what you guys are doing this week in terms of captaincy. I'd love to know who you are captaining. Give me a maybe clearer idea of who I should go for. I do think that Nottingham Forest is a really good fixture. West Ham have got Nottingham Forest have got a really good fixture in West Ham this week. Captaincy worthy, I would say, based on current form. If you are in the chat, if you're coming in and out of the chat, please remember to like and subscribe. If you haven't already, please subscribe. I hit 400 subs a couple of days ago, which I was quite happy about. I think that I would love to get to 1K subs by the end of this season. I know there's a lot of great YouTubers out there already. Some probably think that I didn't even need to do this whole YouTube. Would it be nice? I thought it'd be a change rather than your podcasts and stuff on Twitter. So yeah, please subscribe. A lot of those subs came in the summer for the Club World Cup, so I appreciate that. A lot of the viewers, the guys in the chat are coming in and out of the chat are kind of players who play multiple fantasy games, but there will be more of a kind of focus on FPL and UCL, which I can't wait for. There's lots of UCL fantasy content coming this season. So team reveals on here, live streams. I'm really looking forward to the live streams. I'm expecting them to be a lot more active, similar to the Club World Cup. There was loads and loads of people in the chat, loads of people watching. Really good. So I appreciate them, and I appreciate you guys that have come into this live stream when so many other good YouTubers are currently hosting live stream. Probably a bad idea to host a live stream when all the big YouTubers are. You got to do what you got to do, right? So yeah, captaincy should be a talking point actually, because looking at my current team, again, don't know who to captain. Salah, yes, I could. Salah actually ranks quite highly on projected points for this week, which is strange. Yeah, really strange, because he's got Arsenal at home. Maybe it's a home fixture, maybe it's his inevitability. So I don't necessarily need that second attacker. I have got options in Watkins and Salah. None of them massively convince me. I'm convinced by Wood. I think that Wood could be a great option. Not having a Manchester United attacker might sting this week, which is why I'm still kind of debating a United attacker. Again, the problem is if I do go for the likes of Cunha or Bruno, it just means that I can't bring in, I can't upgrade to my 8th attacker, so I can't get from Gahey to a striker, another decent striker at 7.5. That price. I think Wood's gone up a couple of times as well, so that is my current debate. It's either I go for Bruno and captain him. There's 3 options here actually. You guys tell me. Palmer out for a -4. Yeah, I mean he's probably, it depends who for, I think, and if you're going to keep him long term, Jamie. I think people are probably going to. I think Palmer will play in game week 4. So if you've got bench coverage to cover Palmer, put on a decent defender with like an Anderson who Defcons or someone like that. I do think he's worth holding on to, but then you could suffer a few price decreases. If it's a long-term move and you're not looking to get Palmer back in, then a -4 is probably worth it. Got Wood and Bruno, but he's top of my list after the break. Yeah. I would love Wood and Bruno this week. I think a lot of people kind of overreacted to the Grimsby game in the cup. I mean, they did score though, United, didn't they? They needed Maguire to score, but yeah, I do like the United attackers moving forward. It's just obviously the fact that it restricts me from making a move on an 8th attack. That's the biggest issue. I mean, there's an argument that even if I did swap Palmer for Kudus or Sarr and bring in Wood for next week, that I would have, I would have benching headache this week, or maybe I would just bench. I wouldn't know who to bench basically between Wirtz or Reinders. Wirtz at home to Arsenal this week. I brought Wood and Kudus in because I'm not benching Rodgers, I'm not benching Watkins, I'm not benching João Pedro or Salah, or Wood, who I would have bought in and likely captain. So I would have to bench either Wirtz or Reinders, and at this point, I think it would be very close between them because Wirtz hasn't done much, and he also faces Arsenal, and Reinders faces Brighton, and Brighton have been quite leaky, haven't they? So I think even if I brought Wood in this week, I would have a benching headache. So, I mean, to avoid all that, to avoid the benching headache, I mean, I could just bring in Bruno, captain him. People forget their first game versus Arsenal. Yeah, they were really good. They were really good against Arsenal, weren't they? I think they had a lot of chances and shots, didn't they? Let's just take a look at the game. I'm pretty sure that United were very good against Arsenal, offensively as well, because it's tough to be good against Arsenal. It's tough to get shots off against Arsenal. So to get plenty of shots. Yeah, so Manchester United ended up having 22 shots against Arsenal. They created 1.52 XG, which was more than Arsenal. The only issue with United during that game, and the only bad thing I can say about Manchester United in that game is the fact that they had no big chances. So, but that's just down to that could just be down to Arsenal defending, right? Any other team, and I mean, I imagine they hammered Grimsby. I know it's Grimsby. They had 28 shots, so it was only 6 last shots that they had against Grimsby to Arsenal. But yeah, back to the fixture ticket anyway, so I can kind of make a decision on these players. It's really tough at the moment. I think I'm either selling Palmer to Kudus or Sarr and captaining Watkins or Salah, or I'm buying Kudus and bringing in Wood and captaining Wood. I think bringing in not having a Manchester United attacker this is going to be really, really tough. I think it's going to be really tough. But if we're looking at if we're looking at the fixture ticker here, Manchester United are near the bottom. They're in the bottom 5. They play City, Chelsea, and Liverpool. Obviously, this week is a huge kind of reason why people are going there, because he's a captaincy option, right? And then Brentford and Sunderland, great fixtures for the United attackers. But I mean, Kudus and Saar, they give you more money. Crystal Palace is slightly higher than Man United. Well, I'll say slightly. They're 5 teams ahead. They're at 5. Yeah, they've got Villa, Sunderland, West Ham, Liverpool, Everton, Bournemouth. So not super easy. And then Tottenham with Kudus, again, as mentioned before. Haven't seen a lot of Kudus. Is anyone else buying Kudus in the chat? Is anyone kind of trying to decide between Saar, Kudus? Because that is an interesting debate, isn't it? Really interesting one. I'd love to know your thoughts on Kudus or Saar. Just drop a name who you're backing in the chat, Kudus or Saar. That'd be handy enough. But at the moment, yeah, the Tottenham fixtures look really good. They've been in great form. Bournemouth, West Ham, Brighton, Wolves, Leeds, very, very good fixtures, aren't they? I think you're probably going to want Tottenham coverage eventually as well, right? If they keep performing the way they are, yes, I think a lot of people have got, the likes of Van der Van or Pedro Porro, someone like that. But I don't think a lot of people have got the attacker. I know Kudus is like 20, might be 27% owned now, so he's fairly well owned. But I think within like my circles, within Twitter and stuff like that, I don't think people are talking about him enough, maybe. So I don't know. Maybe I've just got a soft spot for Kudus. It could be that. It could be I've got a soft spot for Kudus. But yeah, Kudus, Jackie. I mean, if you look at it there, though, the fixtures are great. Kudus, he got 2 assists in one match as well. Yeah, he didn't. Yes, he also blanked in one of his games, but he was fairly active, wasn't he? So yeah, I think I'm between Kudus and Saar, and then just a case of captaincy. I mean, I would probably have to captain. It's worth mentioning that I do think that João Pedro is a good captaincy option this week. The only issue with João Pedro is, and this is, it's not probably it's not like a solid reason, or maybe it is the early game, right? We don't like early games in FPL, and even if players have got good fixtures, we just tend to avoid them. But yeah, I mean, I took Kudus out on free hit. Yeah. I think, should we just take a look at my free hit actually while we're here? Let's take a look at my free hit. So that would on screen be my free hit, basically. This is not my team, by the way. For anyone looking, this is just a free hit draft that I like this week. I think the front 3 would be pretty nailed for me in Haaland, João Pedro and Wood. I would probably captain Haaland as well. Defense isn't great. Let's just get it out there. If you remembered before, I mentioned that there's not a lot of clean sheet potential this week across the board. It's not just like 1 or 2 teams. A lot of teams don't have great clean sheet potential this week. Obviously, you've got Liverpool facing Arsenal. You've got Manchester City away to Brighton, who could easily concede. So I think the team with the best clean sheet odds this week is actually Manchester United, which makes sense. I think they're like 50% to keep a clean sheet, 50% odds. So that's the best you're going to get, which is why I've added Dorgu. I know a lot of people won't like that, especially after Grimsby, but they didn't play their full strength team. I thought they were good against Arsenal as well. I like Dorgu. I really like Dorgu this week against Burnley. Porro, you don't really have to explain him. Callagher in goal at Sunderland. Collins is probably a good option as well at Brentford, but he's 5 million, so I thought I'd go for Callagher. Milankovic, I think in any given week, I think he could outscore Murillo on goal threat. I think long term, I want Murillo, obviously, and Murillo's in my current team. I'm happy to have him, but as a 1 week punt, I think Milinkovic, because of his goal threat, is in there. Bruno Fernandes and Cunha, I can't really decide between those two. I have Dango over Kudus. Yeah, Dango Utara, I did look at him as well. I think he's actually on my bench in this draft. He probably is. I don't want to scroll down, but I think he's first on my bench. 6 mil mid for Brentford. So yeah, he is actually on first on my bench. So he could easily come on. So he it's not like I didn't think about Utara. He is there. Barnes, I think he's got a good fixture this week against Sunderland. I think Newcastle are going to score goals. I think Bournemouth haven't been totally convincing. Defensively, obviously, they kept the clean sheet against Wolves, which was good. But Wolves haven't exactly got the best attack anyway. This is so Porro over Cucurella. There's definitely an argument there, isn't there? There's definitely an argument there for that. I mean, if you've got the money, then it feels like a good shout. Cucurella does get advanced. It's just London derbies, isn't it? With Chelsea have a lot of London derbies, and I think it's that gives the opposition kind of extra boost. I'm always cautious about playing like the West Hams, Fulhams, and those kind of London-based sides who aren't amazing, but because you're in London, because it's facing London rivals, But yeah, I think Cucurella is still a great option. I think the only debates on this, again, for those tuning in, this is or just joining the stream now, this is not my current draft. This is just a free hit draft that I made. The only maybe positions I'd change is probably in defence. I'm quite happy with the attack there. Potentially, like you said, Ali, potentially Otara, who could come in for Kudus, maybe. So yeah, that is my free hit draft back to my team, because I'm gonna have to start looking at transfers soon, right? Palmer is definitely going. I just don't know who. I'm on my way to the beach with the farms. Just popped in to drop a like and say good luck. Yeah, thanks, Mishy. Really appreciate that. Really appreciate the like. Really appreciate the fact that you're popping in. Hopefully a good day for you, Mishy, on the beach and in FPL. I imagine you'll be checking the scores quite often throughout the day. Yeah, I really appreciate you dropping in. And again, anyone who wants to drop in and add their comments, then definitely do that. I will answer every comment that comes. So yeah, Mishy, enjoy the beach today. I was going to say I wish I was on the beach as well, but so much football, isn't there? And obviously, Chelsea play first thing. I'm quite lucky to have an empty house for the first few hours, so I will be watching Chelsea on my own straight after the stream. Okay, so we've got around, just under an hour actually until the deadline. Under an hour until the deadline, so a lot of decisions to make. Is there any news on Twitter? I doubt it, but is there anything flying around on Chelsea? Not like we need. I think we're pretty sure of who is going to play this week. Pretty sure. Bringing anyone in spicy? I think a lot of the transfers in seems to be. It seems to be, Semenyo. Semenyo, obviously, I think a lot of people went for maybe last night. People have got bringing in Bruno to captain. Mbumo. Some people are going for Mbumo over Cunha. Yeah, I really like the United attack this week, but you know I can't really make any excuses for it. Can't really make any excuses. You know, if they do well, it's my own fault. Palmer for Semenyo maybe and get Haaland. I think I think it's slightly too early for Haaland. I'm going to wait for Haaland. I think if we just take a look back at the fixture ticker, just in terms of my own free hit, because there was a point where I was veering more towards a game week 7 free hit than a game week 6 free hit. But there are a lot of viable reasons why you would go for a game week 6 free hit. A game week 6 free hit does have benefits. Obviously, Bournemouth play Leeds. You can jump on Bournemouth players if they're convincing. Crystal Palace play Liverpool. So if you do have Crystal Palace assets, you can just free hit them out and then get them back in. I think it's Everton after the top of my head. Yes, it is. That was right. Obviously, Man City against Burnley. That's happening in game week 6. So I think the biggest appeal of the free hit seems to, in comparison to 7, I will go through some of the factors in 7 as well, why free hit is good in 7. But I think a lot of the factors back in a game week, a free hit in game week 6 is probably yes, a lot of people want to buy Crystal Palace assets and they can, you know, I don't necessarily think that Liverpool is a terrible fixture of Crystal Palace assets either, but I can see why people would want to avoid that. But I think that Man City against Burnley, I just look at that and think you're probably going to want Haaland. I think he's the best captaincy option. If you just look at the ticker there for game week 6, I mean, there's not a lot of great captaincy options, really, is there? I mean, Liverpool have got Crystal Palace. I mean, yes, you could captain Salah against Crystal Palace, but they have looked fairly good. Palmer likely to be back for Brighton, but Brighton is not a very easy fixture, is it? Arsenal have got tough fixtures, so I think a lot of people are going to be looking to have Haaland in game week 6. I think that's why a lot of people are going to look to the free hit. But yeah, in terms of the game week 7 free, I think there's a lot of factors backing it. I have mentioned some of these before. You know, Arsenal have got West Ham, so it's a good time to triple up and bring in Arsenal assets. Villa have got Burnley, so you could either stick or bring them back in. Chelsea have got Liverpool. I don't necessarily want loads of players in that game. Chelsea versus Liverpool, I currently have Salah and João Pedro, although I would probably only likely drop João Pedro in a free hit for that. Man City, you've got Brentford, so I think, you know, you could easily bring in Haaland for that and captain him there. I mean, people will look at Manchester United again for captaincy because there's a lot of captaincy opportunities in game week 7. I think that's why people are looking at the Haaland free hit game week 6 captaincy, because in 7 you could kind of captain a Villa player against, you know, a Villa player. Is it Aston Villa got Burnley? Yeah, and then United have got Sunderland. So, but there's so many players that you could bring in for that free hit 7, right? You could bring in loads for United and Sunderland. Tottenham have got Leeds. Villa have got Burnley. Arsenal got West Ham. So I do see the appeal of a free hit in game week 7, but also at game week 6. But I do also see a lot, probably more appeal in free hit game week 7. So if I can kind of decide who I want to captain in game week 6, there aren't many, are there? I would maybe just pick Salah. Maybe captain Salah, but then it's not only Haaland. You know, he's obviously going to do well, isn't he? You know, he's probably going to score a couple of goals and do well, right? So, yeah, I guess it's just the fact of Haaland. Maybe Haaland is the main factor for a free hit in game week 6 against Burnley, because Brentford maybe less scary for people to go without. But yeah, I mean, this is relevant because bench Watkins or Semenyo. Watkins is playing Crystal Palace, have looked good. when he's playing Spurs, where he gets to concede. I would go for I would bench Semenyo in this one. I know a lot of people are. I know a lot of people aren't going to be happy bringing in Semenyo. I imagine you've brought in Semenyo this week, or you just or he's just in form. But I imagine a lot of people aren't going to want to bench him this week. But I still think that Villa at home, things could click at any given moment for Villa, right? And Crystal Palace, I mean, yes, they've looked good, but they are playing away. They're playing away. Again, Villa, good side, and Watkins potentially likely on pans as well. So, yeah, I think we are going to need Haaland at some point. It could be a case of, so I would bench Watkins there, but in terms of I would bench Semenyo there. Sorry, keep Watkins starting. Who else are you starting, by the way? Have you got a list of all the attackers that you've got, and maybe... I think Semenyo, though, Tottenham have looked good defensively as well. But yeah, I mean, you look at those fixtures there for Haaland, and eventually, I mean, once you get Brighton, Manchester United, and Arsenal out the way, Burnley, Brighton, and Everton, I think you're gonna have to get. I think you may have to get Haaland in anyway after game week 5. So people are free hitting Haaland in, whilst the people who free hit potentially in game week 7 could just buy him. Maybe take a hit. Maybe again look at maybe contrast between game week 6 and 7 free hit. It's all about your current team as well, right? Because in game week 7, it's likely that I won't have any Arsenal. I'll have Aston Villa, likely, so that's good. I'll still likely have João Pedro, which I wouldn't want to play him. Maybe I would, I'm not too sure. I only have Reinders for City against Brentford. I won't have any Man United and Burnley if I don't bring one in this week. So, and Tottenham and Leeds, yes, I would have Kudus and Porro. So I don't know. It is really tough. It is really tough. I can see why people are debating. I think a lot of people are just going for game week 7 free hit, right? I think game week 6 free hit. I think a lot of people like the free hit. A lot of people seem to be bringing in Crystal Palace attackers at the moment, don't they? And I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all, because you've got Villa, Sunderland, West Ham. But then if you free hit in 6, you've got Everton, Bournemouth. But I don't know. I'm not completely convinced by Crystal Palace this week against Villa away from home. Sunderland and West Ham are great fixtures. It'll be close. I think the last time I looked at projected points for. Should we have a look at the projected points actually for the? This is all on Fantasy Football Scout, by the way. It's just got so much. So much in there. Projections. Yeah. So if we just have a look at the projected points for you won't be able to see it perfectly just yet, but you should be able to see it well. Quite. Yeah. So that is, again, that's the projected points for the midfields from now until game week 8. So we can see that Bruno Fernandes is right up there, but I think the combination of two other players, because just remember that Bruno stops me from bringing in another attacker, so it would be Bruno and Reinders that I would be. It would be Bruno and Reinders, or Kudus and Wood. So Bruno and Reinders are expected to, let's call that 29, and call that 24. 53 points. My maths could be really wrong here. Yeah, 52 points between Reinders and Bruno from now until game week 8. what they projected in game 7 was where this would be where I free hit as well. When Reinders is only 3.9, United Bruno is 5.7. So 5.7 is one of Bruno's highest projected points over the next few weeks, and that is against Sunderland in game week 7, of which I can free hit. Yeah, so and then you combine, so I think that's about 52, 53 points, but then you combine potentially Kudus, who is quite far down the list, I will say. I'm quite surprised he's far down the list, because Tottenham just have great fixtures. It will likely be nailed even if Xavi comes in, and just really good fixtures. He's only projected to get 4 points in game week 7 when they play Leeds, which is quite odd. Kudus' projections are quite odd. It's not that there's any bias there. They are quite odd. But if you combine Kudus and Wood, Kudus is around 25. Wood around. Sorry if you're not following. I know this could be all a load of rubbish. Yeah, it's slightly less, isn't it? It's slightly less. So Wood and the combination of Wood and Kudus is slightly less than Bruno and Reinders, because I would have to keep Bruno and Reinders. I'd have to keep starting Bruno and Reinders because obviously I have Gahey, right? So I wouldn't be able to start Gahey. But they are interesting, aren't they? They are interesting, the projected points, because, I mean, game week 6 is a big week for him, for Wood. Wood in game week 3. I wouldn't be playing Wood there anyway. I would just play Reinders. Who does Reinders have in game week 4? Right, again, I know this is a lot of. Hey bro, love the stream. I really think Brandon Johnson is overlooked. The new team system, Frank, and the amount of goals scored, I think I don't like. The only reason I don't like Brandon Johnson that much, I mean, if you look at the player projections there, on the wrong thing, ignore that. If you look at the player projections for Johnson here, I consider Johnson quite a lot ahead of the season. If you're in the stream, by the way, like and subscribe. Keep getting reminded to say that. Like and subscribe while you're here. I do really like Johnson, and I did like him at the start of the season. It's just obviously he didn't start that cup game, did he? He didn't start against PSG, which put me off him slightly. And now that Xavi Simons is coming in, well, I think a lot of Tottenham fans seem to think that Johnson's minutes could be affected. Yeah, he obviously didn't start against PSG. I'm assuming he's starting on the left. Yeah, he's playing on the left. You eventually ones, but I mean, he's in good form, isn't he, Johnson? I mean, back-to-back goals now. The issue with Brandon Johnson, it just feels like that even when he is in good form, the manager will bring him out. But suppose it's a different manager. He could be a great option. I just think his minutes slightly more concerning than Kudus, which is why I prefer Kudus. But player projections based on this puts Johnson, yeah, I mean, above him. Sar's up there. I think this is why a lot of people are struggling to pick a Palmer replacement this week, because it's all so close, isn't it? I mean, these are the replacements pretty much here, right? You know, Bruno, Gakpo, Johnson, Semenyo, Sarr, Cunha, and Mbeumo, not necessarily Wirtz or Rodgers or Palmer because he's going, but Kudus. Kudus is the lowest out of all the projected points. Okay, Grant, let's have a look at my wildcard draft, shall we? Because this is the this is the wildcard draft that I had. People aren't going to like it because it's got Villa players in it. Well, Rodgers. I still think he's good at that price. This is my wildcard draft. Sanchez, I would probably go for long term. I would stick with Forest, stick with a Villa defender based on their fixtures. Their fixtures are brilliant. So I would stick with Konza. He's nice and cheap as well. Yeah, I would stick with Konza. I would also probably stick with Porro as well because his fixtures, again, I wouldn't necessarily make... I mean, as I'm talking through my wildcard draft here, I wouldn't necessarily make that many changes to the back line because I already own Murillo, I already own Sanchez, I already own Konza, I already own Pedro Porro. The only couple of changes that I would potentially make are, you know, the ones, the other defenders. So I would probably go for, I would probably back. I think Johnson does play on. Johnson has been playing on the left wing though, hasn't he? That's the issue. He started both of his last 2 matches on the left wing, which I think's the issue, David. So yeah, back to my wild card. I think this would be it. Obviously, Strand Lawson's got great fixtures. There's a bit of kind of, is he going to go? Is he going to stay? What is really going on there? I don't think anyone quite knows, but Bruno would be probably on a wild card there. See, if I was wildcarding this week, I would have a United attacker because I can move funds around and I can have a kind of play around, take out Watkins potentially and move in there. But because I'm not on a wildcard, the United attacker becomes less attractive. But that would be my wildcard there. Quite happy with the strikers. João Pedro would be in for now. Chris Wood, of course, as well. Reynaldo probably a better option than Esteve at this point because his fixtures are considerably better than the Burnley fixtures. The Burnley fixtures are quite tough. I think Sunderland rank quite high on the fixture ticket, but you probably wouldn't need him that much anyway, right? And obviously Senesi, Bournemouth have fairly good fixtures as well. So yeah, I mean, I would be quite happy with that wild card. Maybe a couple of changes there, potentially. I think it's too early for Haaland on a wild card. Ahmed bench 1 from Gakpo, Johnson, Sarr, and Semenyo. I don't think I would bench Johnson this week. Definitely not. Don't think I would bench Sarr. I wouldn't bench Sarr. I think it would be a decision from Gakpo and Semenyo. Yeah, you too, David. Good luck this week in whatever you decide to do, captaincies or transfers. Bench 1 from Gakpo, Johnson, and Sarr. I would be tempted to bench Gakpo. Be tempted to bench Gakpo there. It's a tough game for Liverpool, isn't it? At home. I mean, right now I'm tempted to bench Wirtz over Reinders. That if I brought in 2 players. This wild card, Sanchez in goal, Pedro Porro, Tarkowski, Williams, Salah, Anderson, Reinders, Bruno, Watkins, João Pedro. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't own Wan-Bissaka. I wouldn't own Wan-Bissaka. I don't think you should. Are you asking me if you should wildcard that team? I don't think you should wildcard it. Or are you wildcarding into that? Because it's a decent. I mean, it's a fairly good wildcard team, right? Fairly good wildcard team. That 2 5.5 is fine. I don't think I'm not keen on Richarlison only because I think one bad game and he comes out. That's my team. Sorry, forgot to. Yeah, I definitely don't think you need a wild card there. I definitely don't think you need a wild card. I think, again, my wild card is on screen and I would already have Sanchez, Porro, a Nottingham Forest defender. I would have Salah, Reinders, Bruno, João Pedro, Semenyo. So I definitely don't think it's worth a wild card. I think maybe hold on there for a little bit longer. I'll take my wildcard draft off now because I don't want to see that. Yeah, current team is Palmer. Okay. So that that's the team currently. Yeah, it's fairly good. It's pretty decent to be fair. Yeah, it's pretty decent to be fair. Yeah, so this is my current team. Ooh, I need to make a decision soon, don't I? On transfers, I think. Let me just. I'm gonna dive back into Twitter and see if we've had any sort of news at all. I know Chelsea are first thing. Let me know if anyone wants to. Yeah, there seems to be a rumor going around that Barnes is not playing today. It's Will. It's at NUFC Will 1892. Now I've got him muted, which suggests that. I mean, he could be right. It just suggests that he's been wrong quite often. So I think I've probably muted him. Now, if that's the case, and you've got Barnes, I would probably keep monitoring the news. Again, I don't believe it at all. You have to be slightly careful there. So that seems to be the only rumors that I'm seeing so far. I'm not really seeing any other rumors. So I think might be quite a smooth lead up to the. I like smooth build ups to the deadline. I don't really like not know. See, this is why I'm quite happy that Palmer was ruled out earlier. I mean, if he wasn't ruled out earlier, we would all be absolutely clinging to news, wouldn't we? So yeah. Yep. So it's about again, if you want me to cover FPL Challenger, will do, or you need to get me you need me to get my free hit or wildcard draft up, I will do that. Oh, it's just trying to decide which transfers to make currently. Which transfers? Okay, chat. So for those in the chat at the moment, what transfers would you make with this team? If you had this current team, shall I add Palmer back? See, if you had this current team, what would you do? What would you do with this current team? Obviously, Palmer is coming out, right? A lot of people would ditch Palmer. It's just kind of when we go to the Fantasy Football Scout, when we head over to the Fantasy Football Scout and we see the projected points, Sart is so high up there, isn't he? Let's take a look at them again. Let's take a look at the midfielders. The projected points for midfielders. Sart is so far up there, but I'm not locking in. I think locking it, getting Sart would mean locking into a free hit in game week 6. I don't know if I need necessarily doing that, because he's projected 3.9 points in game week 6. Yeah, I have relied on Villa quite a lot. Obviously, probably unfortunate with the Konza red card. And to be fair, though, they've started the season not very well at all. But also, they had Newcastle in game week 1. That yes, they should have done better against. It should have done better in both of those games, right? They should have at least, scored against Newcastle, at home. Both good home sides, Newcastle and Villa. You'd expect both to score at home. And then it's the same with Brentford. They should have done a lot better with Brentford. You would probably get in Kudus or Cunha. Not sure about the stats, but I've watched them play both the games and they played well. Yeah. No, I'm not solely reliant on stats. I definitely watch games as well, and watch too much football, I'd say. But yeah, I would say that they both look. Cunha looked excellent against Arsenal. And Kudus obviously, excuse me. Kudus obviously also seems to pass the eye test. Maybe Kudus was fortunate to get one of the assists. I know it was a fantastic goal by Richarlison. You know, how often is that going to happen? But just looking at the 6-player projections. Sorry, I should have. Oh, I am on the 6-player projections. Yeah, so Salah is top. He's expected to get 5.7 points this week, which is 0.2 ahead of Bruno, which is why I kind of debated, you know, not needing. So if Salah's 5.7 projected, what is Wood? Who I would probably consider for captaincy? 5. Salah is projected to get more points than Wood. There is an argument here. There is an argument here that I just get Kudus and Captain Salah. I just think Captain Salah is incredibly boring, though, isn't it? I mean, if you're Captain Salah against Arsenal, yeah, and Boomer was also really, really good. Yeah, I agree, David. Maybe Mbumo's play might necessarily not always translate into goals and assists. Similar to Wirtz, actually. You know, similar to Wirtz. I don't necessarily want to play. See, the issue is that if I didn't buy Wood this week and bought Kudus, I would be captaining Salah and have double Arsenal attack against Arsenal, which is insane, in my opinion. So I think based on that, I'm slightly edging towards. Let's just provisionally put in the transfers that I am considering on making. Kudus, I really, really like Kudus. I really like Saar as well. It's really tough. It is going to be tough picking between them. I think in terms of Ward, he's probably, if I make 2 moves this week, then he is going to come in. In fact, I'm only making 2 moves to bring in Wood this week. I'm not massively keen on Matata, although I do think he's a good option too. Kudus is taking corners and Spurs have a good defence, so we'll get clean sheets. Also, Spurs have good games had. Yeah. It's just when you look at the projected points, they just seem slightly low for Kudus. Why is no one considering Haaland in for Watkins and Palmer down? Haaland's like, yeah, I think they have. I mentioned in the stream earlier that I think I've seen a few people who are looking to make that change. You know, sell Haaland, sell Palmer, sell Watkins, bring in Haaland, and go for a really, really cheap, midfielder in place of Palmer. And I would probably captain Haaland this week. I do like it. You know, it is a good move, but I think I'm kind of waiting for Haaland. I think I'm going to wait a little bit on Haaland and just wait for the better fixtures to come. You know, the likes of Burnley, the likes of Brentford. Whoever did that cough there? Excuse me. Yeah. Price, mate. Oh, yeah, price is an issue for a lot of people with Haaland, isn't it? Price is probably the biggest issue, I'd say, because it would involve maybe for many bringing in, taking the -4. But yeah, these are my provisional transfers: Kudus and Wood. This I haven't confirmed this just yet because I'm still kind of debating the free choices, the free. Well, I'm not buying Haaland. There is no. Yeah, that is true. That is true. Saar is so far. Saar is so far at the projected point there, isn't he? So is Semenyo. The only thing with Semenyo is he's a lot more expensive, isn't he? Johnson's an option again, as mentioned. Gakpo. The Arsenal game, and I've already got Wirtz. Yeah. So you can't see my team, which I now now see. So that they would be the options that I make. They would be the transfers that I make this week. Palmer out for Kudus and Palmer out for Kudus and Wood in for Gahey. That would give me 8 fairly decent attackers. Reiners maybe not so, but I would be happy to play most of the other attackers in any given game. If I did this here, it would mean potentially benching either Wirtz or Reinders. I know I keep taking you back and forth to projected points. Who is projected to get the most points this week? Wirtz or Reinders? Wirtz or 3.9 for Wirtz this week. 3.8. So it's very close, isn't it, between Wirtz and Reinders there? 0.1 point in between them. So, I mean, I had reason to be slightly unsure there. I would be so gutted, though, if I'd stuck, because I've stuck with Wirtz for the first 2 game weeks, I'd be so gutted that if I benched him, you know, he would then put on a masterclass against Arsenal. So, yeah, I mean, the points projections are pretty close in terms of that there. Oh, so I don't know what to do there. I'm going to take them back out so people don't think I've made those transfers already. No Arsenal is no United is going to be tough this week. But I think if I make transfers this week for Wood in, I think he would be my captain. If you're in the stream, please hit a like, please subscribe. 10 likes so far, 404 subscribers, so a few extra subscribers there. So I really appreciate those who have subscribed. I did a wild card now. I would probably remove Palmer for Akatike. Wait for Isaac to come to Liverpool to transfer out. If that happens, Akatike has the same output. Yeah, Akatike is a good option for now, isn't he? We're not quite sure what's going on with Isaac just yet. I imagine he will move, but I imagine that would cause problems for Akatike, although he could also play on the left, Akatike, so it'd be more of a Gakpo issue potentially. No, maybe an issue for both. I rolled my transfer last week, so I transferred Bruno for Semenyo. Steph or Aina, what do you reckon? Are you looking to make those transfers, or are you have you made them? Have you made those transfers? AWB, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Is that, does that stand for Aaron Wan-Bissaka? Surely not. Is it? Would be. So yeah, questions. Does AWB stand for Aaron Wan-Bissaka in your name? And also, have you made those moves or those moves that you're looking to? So yeah, again, if you're in the stream, please like and subscribe, especially subscribe. I appreciate those who have joined me. Yeah, I mean, if you have been with me for this long, you'll know that the whole stream has basically been me debating some moves, and I've been quite indecisive about the moves I'm going to make. I think just to kind of let you know where I'm at for those that didn't know, I think I'm siding with not owning a Manchester United attacker this week, but instead going for Kudus or Saar and Wood. So again, I'm still stuck between making 1 or 2 transfers there, because it kind of the plan of bringing Wood in and making 2 transfers kind of gives me a benching headache of Wirtz or Reinders. That is a major benching headache according to projected points as well. It is a major benching headache because there's like 0.1 between them. So I'm not too sure there. Not Bruno, Palmer. Sorry, I rolled my transfer last week. So yeah, it's. Oh, I love that. Love that. hopefully Wan-Bissaka sorts it out and he starts, keeping clean sheets so I can start starting him again. Yeah, I'm more convinced. So I'm getting questions on Axe as well. I'm more convinced on Bruno Fernandes captaincy this week than Wood. I am more convinced of it. It's just really tough. It's just really tough because again, Bruno blocks Wood. Oh no, I've took out. Took out João Pedro there. I wasn't supposed to do that. Wood. Yeah. Yeah. So I do think the Man United attackers are really good captaincy options this week. But would I want them long term? Probably not. I think if I was to look at my team moving forward, and I had United attackers in them, I looked at my team, and I needed money from somewhere. I would probably sell the United attacker, right? So I could potentially bringing in Bruno in just for captaincy to then sell him in a couple of weeks, potentially to bring Haaland in, right? Because let's be honest, if we all want Haaland, then a United attacker will be one of the first to go. I think a lot of us can agree on that. Yeah, can only hope. Yeah, a West Ham fan then, obviously. Yeah. Do you think West Ham will turn it around? Do you think that you like Graham Potter there? Do you think he needs to go? Are we going to see any improvement soon? Do you reckon? That's what I need to know anyway for Wan-Bissaka, who is absolutely crushing my team value at the moment. Is Wan-Bissaka at risk? That's another question, isn't it? Because he's not been great, has he? Obviously made a couple of mistakes. So I'd love to know your thoughts on. While there's a West Ham fan in the chat, I would love to know your thoughts on West Ham, on if Wan-Bissaka would continue to play. Yeah, so just going back to the United chat, I do like a United attacker this week, but again, if I'm going to sell a player moving forward or long term or in a few weeks, I'm probably going to sell Bruno Fernandes or Cunha, whoever I bring in. It's just obviously really tempting to bring in a United attacker this week, isn't it? Because of that Burnley game. If United didn't have Burnley, I don't think anyone would be buying the United attackers. I think if they didn't have if United had maybe Wolves or someone that's not as bad defensively but still not great, I don't think many people would be buying Manchester United attackers this week. I think so and that's not me. I'm quite open. I'm quite open to all transfer plans. I've discussed that on the stream so far. I'm not kind of fully against. I'm not trying to get some sort of agenda against United attackers. I think they're really good options this week. But long term, am I going to want them long term for City, Chelsea, Liverpool? Am I going to want to sell one of them or all of them to get a move for Haaland? So again, it could be a case of transferring them in just for this week. So I think captaincy could be covered, but only by Wood. I did mention early on the stream that I would be quite happy to captain Rodgers or Salah, but they just haven't been in good form, right? They've both got home fixtures, which is good. Sorry, Aston Villa haven't been in good form. Liverpool have been in good form, but they play a tough, arguably the best defence in the league. So Rodgers, Villa haven't got, Watkins hasn't got the form, the team form for captaincy. Salah's got the toughest defence in the league. So that's both putting me off, which makes my 2 transfer strategy more likely here, I would say. So again, I'm probably going to put in Wood now. I'm going to put Wood in now. I'm not going to buy any United players if already have Bruno. Everyone at the club is Roman. Yeah, I mean, there's an argument that United haven't started the season great. I mean, they were good against Arsenal. They were unlucky to get the result, weren't they? Unlucky because I think well, I mean, you could argue they weren't unlucky. They just couldn't. They were just up against one of the best teams in the league, but they still look quite lively. So yeah, I think Wood could potentially, if a United attacker doesn't come in, I think Wood is likely nailed to come in there. Let me just check for any news. I know a lot of people are going to be captaining United attackers this week, 100%, and I will be behind the sofa. I will be behind the sofa for those, for Man United. For the United game, hopefully Burnley win 1-0. Sorry if you've got. Yeah, it's just the early game with João Pedro. It's just I don't like an early game. Really don't like an early game. I also think Nottingham Forest are going to score a couple against West Ham. So a lot of people seem to be making the same transfers. United players, Gokaresh, even though he's got Liverpool away. Wood captain I really like. I mean, I could even take a hit, right? I could. Would it work? Would a hit work? Would I take a hit this week? Let's see. So I'm just adding some players. Let me just see. Vert's out for a hit. Doesn't sound great though, does it? Doesn't sound fantastic. This would be for a hit. So that would be a hit. It would be a 4 points hit. I wouldn't necessarily have to be majorly worried about Bruno. I could also captain Bruno. I just don't like a hit. I really don't like a hit. I've double Liverpool attackers. Is that good? I was just about to discuss Liverpool actually, because if I did a point hit to bring in Bruno, Wood, and Kudus, it would mean selling Vert. But then, if we do take a look at the, if we take a look at the, let me just have a look at the. If we do take a look at the fixture ticker here, we can pretty much see that after Arsenal, Liverpool have got Burnley, Everton. There's definitely warrant in selling Verts. Definitely warrant in selling Verts there. Arsenal will be tough. Crystal Palace won't be easy. Chelsea won't be easy. Man United might not be easy. Maybe there's warrant in the hit this week. I'm not massively keen on the hit. What do you guys think about this -4 hit? What do you guys think about a -4 hit at the moment? You probably can't see. You can't see that I'm taking a hit here. Probably need to zoom out a little bit there. 1 second. Still can't see. That's fine. I think what we should do is probably return the screen to how it was. Oh, that is a nice hit, isn't it? What do you think, chat? Isn't that a nice hit? I really like that as a hit. Get Bruno in, captain him, have Wood in place. A lot of people are taking hits. A lot of people are taking hits. See, I would be really lucky if I'd be very lucky if Bruno blanked today, if the United attackers blanked today. I might just have to get behind the sofa for it, you know. Because I'm not totally convinced on selling Verts before Burnley. I think that would be potentially nuts. Let's reset this team. This is the original team. Obviously, Gayhe's going to go. It's also 10-2, so I need to make moves soon. Definitely not Bruno for the -4. Yeah, I wouldn't take a hit. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same mind as you guys. You know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it, guys. My gut has been telling me Kudus all week since my transfers video, actually. Let me just check that the site has not crashed or something. Virtual Reinders is such. I need to make these transfers quickly. I'm gonna do it. This is what I'm doing, guys. I'm going for it. Hang on a sec. Let's just jump somewhere. Right, this is my current team. We are gonna get Wood in for. Ooh. This makes me nervous. Makes me so nervous. Deciding between Reinders. I keep calling him Vinders. Vinders and Verts. Deciding between Reinders and Verts is tough. It's tough. Because if you look at the projected points, let's get captaincy on Wood. Let's get captaincy on Wood for now. Salah can be vice. What do you make of those moves, guys? What do you make of those moves? And what do you also think about Reinders or... What do you think about Reinders or Verts this week? Should I bench? Definitely don't bench Rodgers. I think the decision is out of Reinders or Verts. I'm currently of the opinion that probably Verts, but at the same time, the projected points are very close. It's like 0.1. There's not much between them at all. Will Reinders start as well, right? Minutes. I know he's been great, but you just can never guarantee with Pap. It's super tough. Liverpool at home. Are Liverpool capable at home of scoring a couple past Arsenal? Absolutely. I think it could happen. So, you know, it's not like Liverpool have a bad attack this week. It's more so that Arsenal have got a good defence, isn't it? So don't bench Ryan as you should bench Verts. They're playing Arsenal. Yeah, well, this is something that I'm kind of discussing now. 8 minutes until it's just minutes. It's potentially minutes with Verts. Will he play? We know Verts will almost certainly start in a game of this caliber. They are at home. City are away. They're likely to score though, but how many? I don't think it's going to be a lot. Liverpool and City could end up scoring. Same. No, probably not. City probably score more. I want City cover. Maybe it's a case of that. Maybe it's a case of City cover there. I just know Verts is... I've watched Verts for years now. I know he's not necessarily done it for Liverpool, but a lot of people might captain Salah this week. His EO might be high. I am slightly... Oh, I don't know what to do. I'm slightly tempted by Reinders over Verts, but then... How does that make me feel? I'm going to do it and see how it makes me feel. Not good, probably. Sorry about this scrolling stuff. Yeah, so any team news? A lot of people are captaining Bruno this week. A lot of good players are captaining Bruno. A lot of good managers are captaining Bruno this week. There's a few taking a hit. There's not really any team news that I've noticed in particular. Oh, right, chat. Reiners or Verts? Comment in the chat. Also, well, subscribe and like first, but please, Reiners or not. Stop saying Vinders. Stop. He's not Dutch or German. Reinders or Verts? What do you guys think? Reinders or Verts this week? No one is saying Reinders or Verts. I think a couple of you two of you have mentioned to start Reinders. So, and I'm 50-50, completely split. Oh, no United is going to be absolutely grim today. It's going to be absolutely grim. What time do they kick off? Oh, is it? It's going to be at 3 o'clock. It's going to be 3 kick-off, isn't it? I'm dreading it. Let's have a look at the fixtures today. So obviously the early game is Chelsea, which I'm looking forward to for the João Pedro show. And then in the 3 o'clocks, I just don't have many players at all, which makes not owning a Man United attack even worse. Because I mean, I've brought in Spurs. I've got Porro, and is it worth -4 to get Cucurella in for? If no, definitely, I don't. Depends what your bench options are, Frank, as well. If you've got a decent bench option instead of Cucurella. Ryan is for this game week. Rohan is saying Vert. I think it's very 50-50. For those just tuning in, obviously the projected points suggest there's not much between them. Does seem, yeah. So I will only have a Spurs double up at 3 o'clock. Oh, and then I'll have no, and then I have no Newcastle Leeds, but I'm being dragged up to IKEA after the 5 o'clocks, after when the football finishes. When the 3 o'clocks finish. No, I don't want a bunch of Rodgers. I just think the home game. He's actually projected for more points as well. Let me just make sure that my team has saved, because we have now got 3 minutes before the deadline, guys. So any last minute questions, you can definitely just get in now. I've just called Ward Vod. I keep calling players the, starting with the. Yeah, so Ward is my captain. I think he's got a great fixture. I also like the fact that my captain is playing on the Sunday as well. A lot of players playing on Sunday. I'll finish the week on an Aston Villa double up, which I'm quite happy with. So yeah, guys, I think that's my team. I think my team is pretty much bench Rodgers and play. I can't bench Rodgers. I don't think it's just the fact that Crystal Palace aren't one of the best defenses, are they? Rodgers will probably play 90 minutes as well. Rodgers will play more minutes than both. He plays more minutes than both. He's arguably more advanced than both as well on the pitch. So, I'm not comfortable benching Rodgers. I will eventually get really frustrated with Rodgers if he doesn't do, or he doesn't look convincing tonight. I think that's how I'm going to set up. I mean, I'm not completely comfortable benching Verts. This is my team, guys. This is my team. This is what I'm going with, I think. This is what I'm going with. This is what I'm going with. Good luck this week, guys. Good luck this week. I'm not ending the stream there, by the way. I'm probably going to look at FPL Challenge real quick. I don't know if anyone wants to stick around for that. Let me just post. Let me just post. Let me just post. Yeah, good luck, guys. I hope you all have a really good game week. I hope it all works out unless you've got a Manchester United attacker. I'm going to be dreading that. Yeah, so Gahey, so Palmer is gone. Palmer and Gahey, you've gone. Kudus and Wood. Woodcap. No Man United. It's game week 3, isn't it? It's game week 3. Game week 3, right? Pretty sure it's game week 3. Yeah, so I've just posted my team, guys. Good luck, everyone. Hope everyone has hope everyone does really, really well. Apart from if you've got United attackers. Sorry, but I just I can't have. Yeah, I can see the United attackers doing well. I think my only issue. Deadline has gone. It is gone. Good luck this week. I think my only issue with Man United attackers this week is that I'm not too sure who is going to be among the goals. You know, it could be Mbumo that does super well. It could be Cunha. It could be all of them, right? You know, it could be all of them that do well. But at the same time, it's just really difficult to pick out a standout option. I mean, I might get lucky and Burnley keep a clean sheet or limit him to 1 goal, which would be, you know, I think the best case scenario for me is that United win 1-0. But I just don't think that's going to happen. I think Manchester United are going to score 2 or 3 goals. So I just need to hope that. I need to hope that Bruno isn't among them. I think maybe Mbumo. Maybe I need to hope that Mbumo gets the biggest haul, because I think that Bruno's ownership is quite big. I think it'd be massive this week because of obviously captaincy as well. Cunha also slightly lifted by captaincy, but Mbumo probably the least kind of owned heading into this week. I'm quite happy with my team. I am really happy with my current team. It's just getting past this week of no United, because next week United have United and then they have Chelsea, and not owning United attackers during those games is fine, absolutely great. I don't know. Do you guys want to have a look at challenge? Should we see if we can get challenge on screen? You'd have to bear with me slightly though, because it's on the same kind of screen. So, well, it's not on the same screen. That's my point. So let me just head over to FPL Challenge now. And then you can see my current lineup. I'm almost certainly going to have United attackers in, I think. That is the challenge. The challenge is the shield. Challenge is shield. Yeah, you can't really see that. It's quite annoying, this. 1 second. Let me just try and drag that onto screen for you guys. Where is the... Yeah, bear with me, guys. Sorry. I'm just going to bring my team into focus now. It's quite fiddly, this. Quite fiddly. Right, so that is my current... that is FPL Challenge. That is FPL Challenge at the moment. So you can see, so this week's challenge is basically Elanga and Barnes rumored to be out, but I don't think that's true. Yeah, I think that's the same guy, isn't it, who kind of shared the last news. Yeah, so basically for challenge, it is defensive contributions are worth 10 points, so 1 player per club. So with that in mind, I've gone for Tarkowski, who has managed back-to-back DEFCONs. He's managed back-to-back 4 points from DEFCONs. He also has Wolves this week, which I think is a good fixture for a clean sheet, potentially. Pedro Porro I've gone for as well. I've gone for Sanchez in goal. Bruno and Anderson. Bruno is, I think he ranks at like amongst the top 5 midfielders in the league so far for DEFCONs. So he potentially is a great option too. And then Anderson, obviously, you know, he's come close, hasn't he? He's got 11 DEFCONs in his last 2 matches. And then Haaland, I think Haaland is probably the best striker this week. I think it's 1 player per club as well, so I couldn't really pick Wood. But that is my team this week. I'm pretty happy with that, obviously, to stay on top of the lineups. If you didn't read my latest article, my last week, I know the screen's going to be quite messy now. You're not going to be able to see that, but what's going on? Game week 2, what's my game week 2 team? Should probably manage team and then go back to game. That's the way I should have done it. This was my game week 2 team. I ended up at a global rank of 9k. It was pretty good, to be fair. Captain and Stev was good. I got small returns from midfielders. Watkins blank. I should have gone for Gokarash. Gutted about that. João Pedro obviously did well. Late change for Palmer, so I noticed that Palmer wasn't playing. So yeah, guys, that is my game week 5 challenge. Again, if you're still in the stream and you haven't subscribed yet, please do. That is my challenge. I'm going to bring up studio now because we are potentially going to add a outro. Yeah, so guys, that is my challenge team. That is my FPL team. Good luck this week. Thank you for joining me for another live stream. I know, again, there was not loads and loads of people in, but I think that, you know, it was always going to be like this, starting a new YouTube channel. And hopefully we'll get more in the chat as we go on. But yeah, good luck this week. Good luck in challenge if you're playing. Good luck in FPL. That was another live stream. The last one before the international break. Potentially maybe get something in for Champions League fantasy. But yeah, I think we'll stop there and hopefully maybe again, like I said, do something in the international break. So again, good luck this week and I'll see you guys all again soon.